Panelists include former Governor Mike Leavitt, Representative Brian King, and Gabby Finlayson of the Elevate Utah podcast. This special one-hour town hall will be live on July 1st at 11 a.m., sponsored by America First Credit Union.
Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Learn how at www.ready.gov. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Ad Council.
KSL News Time, 8:59. Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the nines. Brought to you by UCCU. Auto loan rates as low as 4.74% APR. Here's Cormac Bone.
Good news is the crash has cleared on eastbound I-80 just after Redwood Road, but the bad news is the delays are still there from just before you get to I-215's West Belt, reaching over to I-15. On northbound I-15, we do still have a couple of crashes. The first is at the point of the mountain, out of traffic and in the right shoulder, but delays are from about 2100 north in Lehigh, reaching up into Draper at 123rd south. And then again slow, both directions of I-15 at 7200 south in the south interchange in Midvale. Northbound I-15 slow again from the I-80-201 interchange up to 13th Street. That's also due to a crash, and they are also now out of traffic and in the right shoulder as well. Aubrey?
Things are looking great for drivers coming out of Davis and Weber County right now. I-15's moving right along there. If you're up on Highway 89, Legacy Parkway, or the West Davis Corridor, those are all moving at pretty good speeds. And if you're coming through Parley's Canyon westbound, that looks good from Park City into Salt Lake City, but we do still have slowing eastbound if you're trying to get over to Highway 40. That right lane is backing up. I'm Aubrey Withrich in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll be in the 80s today and tomorrow, 91 on Friday for the 4th of July, 93 degrees, and it warms up from there. Right now it's 72 degrees downtown. Inside Sources coming up next on KSL News Radio.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Fires across the state are getting closer to containment with a few exceptions, but fire crews worry the hot weekend could bring issues. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
Temperatures are expected to be in the 90s over several areas in Utah, and National Weather Service meteorologist Christina Cruz says this could be a problem for fire crews.
We did end up having a fire that started. We could see those fires grow. So it's the one thing that everyone needs to remember is be really careful with ignition sources over this holiday weekend.
The Iron Fire near Eureka, the Sawmill Fire in Iron County, and the Hastings Fire in Tooele County are all either completely or nearly contained. Major progress has been made on the Cherry Fire over the last day to nearly 70%, and progress has been made on the Wild Goose Fire as well. But crews are still struggling with containment on the Cottonwood and Snyder fires. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Other local stories KSL's following. State Senator Todd Weiler is following in the steps of Stratos investor Kevin O'Leary and Fox News. He's apologizing for comments he made about Alliance for a Better Utah, Elevate Strategies, and others, claiming they are funded by or linked to the Chinese Communist Party. The lawmaker posted on his X account saying, "Oops, I was duped." Your money at this moment, the Dow up 114 points today to 52,433. Coming up, it's hot today, hotter tomorrow as we march toward that 4th of July weekend. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 9:01.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to My Computer Career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu. My Computer Career, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you want to walk, play pickleball, and enjoy other fun activities to stay healthy, but you can't because of bad feet? Hi, this is Mike, and the Good Feet store wants to help.
I just had difficulty walking. I tried them on in the store, and my foot felt so much better.
Do you keep buying new shoes and inserts with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet store.
Don't let bad feet, knees, or back problems get in the way of staying healthy and having fun.
Thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm bowling 3 nights a week.
Get back to doing what you love. At the Good Feet store, we'll personally fit you at high-quality arch supports to maximize your comfort. Stop in the Good Feet store or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Your best years aren't behind you. They're right here at Trio South Ogden. Discover independent living services that embrace aging as an opportunity to lean in, not step back. To pursue passions, not retire from purpose. Here, life is bright, colorful, and unapologetically fun. Move in, thrive on, because aging doesn't mean changing who you are. It means having more time to be exactly who you are. Schedule your tour today at triosouthodden.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Let's get another update from Cormac Bone.
Eastbound on I-80, still some heavy residual delays between I-215's westbelt and I-15. That crash that was there right after Redwood Road has cleared off the road, so hopefully they start to ease out. And the crash that we had near 13th South on northbound I-15 also has cleared off the road. Still just some residual delays there. Where we have delays building up on northbound I-15 is just before 7200 South in Midvale. There's a crash there as well, and they're blocking 2 left lanes, so the delays are starting all the way back at 90th South and getting pretty heavy. Also slow around the point of the mountain on northbound I-15. At Ovation Homes, taking it easy looks a little different with single-level home designs to keep you moving. Ovation Homes, your best years start here. Communities in Syracuse, West Point, and Layton, or ovationhomesutah.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather forecast. Today and tomorrow, temperatures will stay in the high 80s. Then it starts into the 90s by Friday. By Sunday and Monday, we're getting up near triple-digit temperatures. Right now, a high today of only 88, but right now it's 72 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, the East Coast prepares for a record-breaking heat dome over the holiday weekend. Those of us here in the West continue to deal with wildfires, as we know.
And Governor Cox and other Western governors are dealing with this by coming together to improve coordination between states and the federal government when it comes to wildfires and our Western land management.
So the hope, according to the governors, of course, is to better protect communities from wildfires now and into the future.
Yeah, so the Western Governors Association also says it's important to include public lands and energy in the conversation. They've got quite an agenda.
Utah Fire Watch here, or Governor Spencer Cox and Colorado Governor Jared Polis?
We've been talking again about the response from the federal response as well as the state response. We know that there's a reorganization happening at the Forest Service at the federal level, and what's going right with that, what ways we can improve. We've been talking about new technologies that different states are using, how we can employ those technologies to find fires faster, respond more quickly, and get those fires out. We've been talking about forest management. We've been talking about what to do after the fires are burned. So we have states like New Mexico and Colorado that are growing trees that can be replanted. We need the federal government to participate more in those issues. So that's kind of the breadth of things we're talking about. Jared, would you like to talk about, I know you've got fires, we're sharing one.
Thank you. And I want to add, what's really important about being here is our federal partners here. We have Director Pierce from the BLM. We have Director Schultz from the U.S. Forest Service. We've met with them together. Many of us, including myself, meeting with them individually, really talking about, given that much of the fire activity is on federal land, there's federal resources that are brought to bear. There's a reconfiguration of structure at the federal level. So these are all very relevant discussions in the here and now for the current fires, and of course to plan for the future as well.
Somebody advised Cox to hold this at Deer Valley, which I think was genius. It's cool, it's comfortable, out of the fires, and it's just an incredibly beautiful venue. I think everybody from the Western Governors must think, wow, Utah's got it made.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Deer Valley, yeah.
So what they did, I think, is interesting. So there are wildfires, but there's also energy transmission. And I was interested to see that some of the other discussion topics that they had, which didn't really make the headlines, but they were talking about coordination with missing and indigenous persons. Missing and endangered indigenous persons. So that's really interesting to me. It was also interesting to me that as part of this wildfire, certainly it would apply, but energy transmission, the governor of Hawaii was here. He's considered one of the Western governors. So he's taking over today as the new chair of the Western Governors Association, and Governor Cox has just concluded yesterday his one-year term.
I think there were 10 or 11 states that are taking part in this. They talked about a new energy transmission project that was in the billions of dollars. I had it earlier, but I can't find it. But there was a huge cost to this. They also talked about alternatives to the typical fossil fuels. A lot of states, including Utah, are moving a little bit toward nuclear. There are other geothermal and other energy resources, but water obviously has to be a huge problem and a huge issue for them.
Yeah. So you said 10. There were 11 governors. So we had the governor of Colorado, which we just heard from, Wyoming, Nevada, Idaho, Oregon, Montana, North Dakota, Arizona, New Mexico, and Washington. But we also had, that was the letter doing the Western Transmission Expansion Coalition. So they're calling it WestTech. So talking about infrastructure challenges, and they're saying, this is what Governor Cox said, this grid system is a team sport. We can't just fix the grid in Utah. It has to be everywhere. And so they're trying to, again, get things happening without having huge bottlenecks. It's like, we've done it in one place, but sorry, we can't get it across state lines.
Yeah, and I think that they also have to address water. I don't know that.
Absolutely.
I don't see that in that most recent agenda, but there's no question that it is, especially since out of these 11 states, there are probably 6 that share in the Colorado River basin.
I thought it was interesting. Of course, it's bipartisan, right? But one of the things to note is that some of the bluest of the blue states and reddest of the red states were at this meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got pretty extremes here.
Yeah.
No purple states in this region.
Well, Colorado's kind of a purple state, although after yesterday's election, they're going further blue for sure. So Utah already has one of the things too, of course, that they're talking about is nuclear, and there's stuff moving forward with that. But we already have geothermal production, which I think is it's interesting and it's good, right, that we have geothermal. We've, of course, got solar in Utah. Utah's always been an all of the above state, at least as far as I can remember. So we also have, of course, oil and gas, and there are still opportunities to explore other forms of energy development.
Yeah, and nuclear seems to be a big part of what we're doing here in Utah, and it almost seems like we're sort of ahead of the game here, getting some of the projects underway, maybe ahead of some of the other western states, because let's face it, we don't have a lot of alternatives here in Utah, and without water, you've got to do what you can.
Well, I think we do have alternatives. I mean, I guess that's the point, right, is that we're an all of the above. So geothermal is one, and we even have hydro in some places, right? So I think
that's what I meant about water. I mean, some of that's a problem.
Yeah, right.
But you're right. Solar
when
and
you
wind.
Diversify.
Right,
yeah, we have wind too.
Yeah.
We have wind too. So anyway, this is an interesting. They have a task force. They signed an MOU to create a task force to study energy transmission needs across the state. They want to promote, and this is what they're saying in the memo, to promote open competitive markets by reducing bottlenecks that restrict choice and limit access to lower cost power. As governors, we will work together to find practical bipartisan solutions that improve the grid and expand transmission infrastructure in the West. So the governor, like you noted, he chaired and hosted the Western Governors Association at Deer Valley yesterday.
Yeah, I was trying to find. Man, I read the article earlier where we are in terms of nuclear, because it seemed like there was something that was being set up here in Utah.
There is.
Where we were ahead of the game.
It's Valor.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It's Valor, and it's down. Gosh, it's by Orangeville, so I guess maybe it's not down. So it's by Orangeville, and they've got some stuff going on today, but they're trying to have it functional by Saturday, which.
Yeah, they said by the 4th of July. That was something that Trump wanted, was to have that up and running and which would be one of the first in the nation, maybe the first in the nation.
So they've talked about those smaller levels, right? Those smaller nuclear reactors. I called them backpack ones, but really they're not. They're mobile modular ones. So the Valor Atomics team, they are hoping to get it online, the reactor online by Saturday. So they reached zero power feud criticality, which those are a lot of words. I don't even know what that means. But what I understand it means is that's a really big step towards full functionality.
Yeah, I saw that too, and it must be some milestone that you have to reach before you can get your.
Yeah, they reached it on June 18th, and so I know that they've got some stuff going on down there today. So let's see. It says it's a part of the Fast Track initiative designed to test and validate reactor designs at smaller scale, and this is. Finally, a resurgence of nuclear technology in the nation.
You know, I've for one, and I know we're almost out of time, but changed my opinion on nuclear when I was in college and studying engineering. I thought, boy, nuclear is a problem. We're never going to deal with the waste and the danger and whatever. But man, what technology they've got now, and you think about it, they've got a nuclear reactor in submarines, so if they can handle something like that, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Okay, look, this might be a first to the Republican Party, at least in recent memory, a national convention ahead of midterms. Will it help boost GOP support for congressional races? More on that coming up next on Inside Sources.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group, and I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney, and the truth is I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. After 15 years and over 50,000 cancellations, I can tell you with confidence, we know how to get you out of your timeshare. Call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit guide absolutely free with all your options for cancellation. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please, don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-881-8686. That's 800-881-8686. 800-881-8686.
Join KSL News Radio today at 11 a.m. for a special hour of Inside Sources. Utah Unites America 250, brought to you by America First Credit Union and the state of Utah. This will be an insightful town hall meeting focused on what we have in common and how we can bridge the political difference that often divide us. Legendary KSL host Doug Wright is going to host this special commercial-free hour only on KSL News Radio.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Pack a picnic, bring your friends, and meet us in Park City. It's time for the 2026 Deer Valley Music Festival, the summer home of the Utah Symphony. Hear joyful masterworks like Beethoven's Ninth Symphony in the Wasatch Mountains. Sing your heart out with iconic performers like Idina Menzel and Lyle Lovett. Relax with concerts under the stars and make new family traditions. Every concert is a chance to experience the best of the Utah Symphony in the beauty of Park City. Concerts will sell out. Get your tickets and plan your visit at DeerValleyMusicFestival.org.
Mom and Dad used to argue about everything, especially about Dad's drinking. It drove me crazy. It got so bad, I couldn't do my homework. I couldn't concentrate. I absolutely refused to let any of my friends come to our house for any reason. I would have been humiliated if anyone found out how much my dad drank and how loud my mom screamed at him. My family went from totally crazy to quiet, calm, and even peaceful. The only thing that happened is my mom started going to Al-Anon family groups. Her relationship with my dad really changed. I asked Mom if she would take me to her Al-Anon meetings or to Alateen. I wanted to see if I could have a better relationship with my dad. I'm sure glad I did. If someone's drinking troubling you, you might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon or Alateen family group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-ALANON or go to alanon.org.
911, coming back to what happened. My son and his wife and their 2 children haven't responded.
Susan Powell disappeared on a snowy morning in 2009.
I said, Josh, where are you? You need to get home.
And her husband will never be held accountable.
Your wife is missing, Josh.
Yeah, but
and you want to think about it for a couple of days?
I'd had this overwhelming feeling that he had done something to her already.
I'm Dave Cawley, host of the podcast Cold.
Then he starts making phone calls to Susan's phone.
Hello, Susan. We are on our way back.
It's the deepest of deep dives into this tragic tale of abuse.
Where was Josh when Susan disappeared?
I don't know. Of one mother's desperate attempt to escape.
This is me, covering all my bases.
Help prevent it from happening again.
Our focus has and continues to be finding Susan.
Listen and learn by following Cold wherever you get your podcasts.
The new Inside Sources.
Well, Republicans nationally are doing something unusual this year. In fact, maybe a first ever. They're having a midterm convention.
So usually, as you know, political parties only hold the big conventions in presidential election years. They're great, big, expensive parties, basically. Midterms are traditionally more localized, so a bigger convention doesn't always make sense.
But there is a lot on the line. I think the president recognizes the Republican Party is up against it a little bit here with both houses of both the Congress and Senate potentially in jeopardy. So here's more on that from News Nation's Marky Martin.
President Trump said on Tuesday the convention will, quote, show the great things that we have done since the presidential election of 2024. It's going to be held in Dallas September 9th and 10th. Democrats say the GOP convention will benefit them by tying Republican candidates nationwide to Trump, whose approval rating is at near historic lows right now.
Yeah, I think that's one of the interesting things that maybe they're not considering. I don't know. But Democrats did used to hold these. They held them in the 70s and the 80s. They were thinking about doing this year. They decided against it. But one of the things, of course, that's interesting is what does it take to put on a big convention? First of all, a lot of times you need a lot more runway than just a couple of months to stand it up, right? Because it's a very, very big production. So anybody who is part of, the Republican National Committee, they'll be going, I would guess, right, that they'll be going. Republican candidates, cheerleaders, et cetera, will be going. So when the president posted about it yesterday on Truth Social, of course, he loves to use capital letters, but he said, we're going to celebrate the great American comeback and the incredible successes of the American people through the America First agenda. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, stronger borders, safest ever communities, lower cost, real affordability. Actually, yesterday he said he didn't care about affordability, so that's weird. More jobs, American energy. And you know, it's one of the things that is a problem potentially for Republicans. A, it costs a lot of money, but B, national conventions nationalize the election.
Right.
So in a year where the president and his policies have not been that popular, they are in red states, but red states aren't the danger zones, right? Typically, you would want to localize the elections, right?
Yeah, you wonder what the Republicans are thinking about this, especially those that have elections 2 months later, re-election bids, and what they feel about if you're in the Senate or the House and you're up against a close race, what you think this is going to do for you when you're standing next to Donald Trump, who is our president without a doubt. But boy, his numbers are just terrible.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much across the board. What I saw recently was that his numbers with independents is astronomically low.
Oh, yeah.
Really bad. So, and that's where a lot of, well, let's face it, Democrats and Republicans need to get some votes from
That's
that.
right. That's right. So one of the things that's interesting about this mid-term convention is they're holding it in Dallas, Texas, and Texas has a very big Senate race there. So it may be that it really is an effort to promote Ken Paxton. So he's the Republican nominee, the current state attorney general. He is going up against James Tallarico, and the latest poll I saw is that they're neck and neck, and typically Texas sends back Republicans for these Senate races. But I have to say, just this week, there are social media posts of Ken Paxton on vacation with his mistress while he's still married. I mean, this is an issue for Republicans. There are a lot of other scandals as well. He had an impeachment. He had a securities fraud case. He just so he is, I would say, a flawed candidate, but Trump's endorsement helped push him over Senator Cornyn, opening the door for a Democrat to win that race. So I wonder if it's a lot to just promote Ken Paxton.
You know, Trump's endorsement carried a lot of people over the hurdle in the primaries. And, of course, the Democrats are equally concerned about the Mamdani effect with a lot of their candidates and whether or not what they're calling the Democratic Socialists are taking that party further to the left. And so our election may very well be trying to find somebody in the middle, which there aren't a lot of. And some of the parties may be shooting themselves in the foot by coming out strong one way or the other. But nonetheless, Trump's numbers are bad. And I think that a lot of these House Republicans who are in tight races are not necessarily pleased about this. Plus, conventions can be fraught with, protests, problems. I mean, all you need is another, what was it, Chicago that the poor Democrats had back in the 60s or so. I mean, it was like,
that's way before my time.
Young,
I don't know.
Anyway, it was really bad. And sometimes you just have something that comes up and there's protests or problems, and you're just like, hey, maybe we didn't do ourselves any favors. But the Democrats, it appears, Holly, are not going to put one on.
No, they're not. And I think that's probably wise of them. But it's not something that typically happens, right? This is something that, at least for the last 40 years-ish, has really just been during the presidential election cycle. And some of the people that they send back are presidential electors, which, there's nothing for them to vote on this go-around.
If you look at what happened 2 years ago, and this follows every time there's a convention, the Republicans went first, and immediately after their convention, they had a huge boost. They did. They had a shot in the arm, and people were on the bandwagon, and people were excited, and it was great. Then the Democrats got together, and they had Kamala Harris, and there was a lot of excitement there, and Democratic numbers went up. And I think Trump's thinking that he can ride that wave, and the Democrats won't have a counter wave. They won't have anything to fight that. And he has it 2 months before the election, so there could still be some momentum between September and November. I mean, there's a method to his madness, and I think that's to give the Republicans a push in these close races. And you're right, having it in Texas, which is one of the most significant Senate races in the country right now, for a number of reasons, makes a lot of sense for Trump to put his candidate over the top. Tallarico's got, in some polls, he's almost ahead. And with independents, he's way ahead.
Oh, yeah.
It's just that Texas has a lot of Republicans. They're like Utah.
They have Democratic districts too, but I'll say this too. I saw polling just this week. In fact, it might have been yesterday or this morning that says the Senate is in play. That there are actually 8 Senate seats that are at least a little in play. There are 2 right now that look like they will flip hands and go to Democrats, but they need 4. But they just need 2 more seats to flip, and then they'll take the Senate. And I think the House is a foregone conclusion at this point still that it's going to flip. And that's going to be, that's going to be
that's all you need
a real change. That's all you need.
That's all you need to know also about why they're doing this convention. I mean, Trump's
trying
to stop that.
Boost. That's right.
Give it a little boost because, let's face it, midterms are not friendly to the party. In
typically they're
the White
not,
House.
But with all we had with the redistricting kerfluffle and all across the nation, right. The changes or hoped for changes to election law, I think it's really interesting. So we talked this week about the Supreme Court saying that the Mississippi law can still stand. Guess who's opposed to that decision? The Mississippi governor who signed that law. I guess he's changed his mind since then. But that's like a legislative thing.
Right.
Yes, he is a Republican.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, it's inconsistent with the Save America Act, and it's inconsistent with a lot of things the Trump administration is doing about mail-in voting. And so when the Supreme Court says mail-in voting not only is good, but even if you get it 5 days late, we're going to say it's okay.
So I'll be interested to see how this plays out. I will not be going, but I'll be watching.
Going to Dallas in September?
No, that sounds miserable still.
Well, I mean, if it's a Trump rally for 2 days, that's a problem. If it's a Republican rally for 2 days, that could be good for the party.
Look, he says, literally use that word. We will have lots of great entertainment. It will be a rally, in all caps, like none other. America's 250th birthday is approaching, and together we're building the foundation for the next 250 years. Dallas will take center stage as we celebrate our nation, our achievements, and the golden age of America.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the 250th anniversary, Congress is out of session for the 4th of July holiday, enjoying that with their family, but that's a little sooner than some people had hoped. Next on Inside Sources, we'll talk about the frustration among some Republican lawmakers as Speaker Johnson straddles an ever-growing divide within his party. We'll be back.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top national story this hour. You probably don't know his name, but you absolutely have heard at least some of his music. ABC's Jim Ryan says a founding member of the Village People has died.
For nearly 50 years, Victor Willis had been performing with the Village People, usually dressed as a motorcycle cop, but sometimes as a naval officer. He and the band are a favorite of President Trump, performing here on Inauguration Eve 2025, with Trump dancing on stage. The Village People posted this morning that Willis died Tuesday of what the band called a short but aggressive illness. He was 74. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
It's fun to stay at the Other national stories KSL is following. According to financial disclosures, President Trump has been making money from private institutions while in the White House. ABC News Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce asked the president about his finances, and the president insisted none of it was a conflict of interest.
Well, you know why I'm profiting? Because the stock market's going up. Everybody's profiting. If you have a 401k, how's your 401k done?
Typically, when presidents take office, they relinquish all abilities to continue to make money while serving. But according to the documents, the president made $1 billion from cryptocurrency ventures. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 212 points to 52,532. Coming up, we're looking at a potential 100-degree day in the next 7. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 9:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
A lot of you have heard me talk about SOTA, Diet Nutrition, a program that I joined in April, and asked if it was really true because some people didn't realize I had to lose weight, but I did, and I lost 30 pounds in 7 weeks. They told me it was a 4-week program to get you started, and right now, speaking of 4 weeks, they have 4 weeks free. If you sign up during their big summer offer, 866-800-SOTA, and mention KSL Radio, you will get 4 weeks free. And let me tell you what I did in my first 4 weeks with SOTA, 18 pounds, and it was well on my way to what I needed to lose. The program worked for me, and it was a program based on diet, food, no shots, no pills, No lifetime dependency, just food, expert guidance, and habits. And SOTA believes that weight loss should be temporary. Results should not be. So that's what it is for me. That it was a good result, and it stayed. I've ended up keeping my weight off. And in fact, I've even lost a couple more pounds since I got on the program. It has been a great program for me. Remember, you can get 4 weeks free when you call 866-800-SOTA. Mention KSL radio station. And remember, say it with me, SOTA is state of the art.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry is the jewelry we never wear. It sits tucked away in a drawer. A ring from a grandmother, a pendant from years gone by. Pieces filled with stories, but not part of your everyday life. Duke's Jewelers believes those pieces deserve more. For over 75 years, Duke's Jewelers has helped families reimagine heirloom jewelry, transforming what once was into something you'll love wearing today and pass down tomorrow. Whether it's resetting a stone, redesigning a ring, or creating something entirely new, Duke's Jewelers will guide you through every step, right there in the store. And if you have jewelry that no longer fits your story, Duke's Jewelers also buys gold, offering a simple, transparent way to turn it into something meaningful again. Bring in what you have and create something you'll never want to take off. Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville, where your story continues.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Emergency traffic brought to you by UCCU. Learn how to save more this summer at UCCU.com. Let's check in with Cormac Bone.
Well, we have a crash on northbound I-15 at 7200 South in Midvale. They did close the freeway for a second to move them over from the left side to the right side, so now they're out of traffic and in the right shoulder there at 7200 South. Not before the delays could get really heavy, reaching all the way back toward 123rd South. And then we have another crash. This is at 90th South in the backup there. And they are blocking the HOV lane, so that's going to add to those delays that are really stacking up now. Once you pass the cleanup, though, at 7200 South, you are in the clear all the way into Salt Lake. And all our other roadways are really easing out now, too. I-215, no matter where you drive it, no delays. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather forecast. We're looking at a low chance of rain the next 2 days. Temperatures in the high 80s today and tomorrow before breaking that 90 in the forecast on Friday. Saturday continues to tick up. Sunday and Monday, 97, 99 degrees. Right now it's 73 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
The 4th of July recess is officially underway in Washington, D.C., a few days earlier than they planned.
Yeah, a GOP showdown between hardliners in the party, and Speaker Mike Johnson brought legislative agenda to a standstill. And apparently when you come to a standstill, you go home for a couple of days.
There's no use sticking around.
Right.
Before we get into our discussion, we're going to get an update on the situation from News Nation's Rashad Hudson.
What was supposed to be a busy week of votes ended with Republican drama. Lawmakers are headed home after GOP standoff brought the House to a halt. House Speaker Mike Johnson canceled the rest of the week's votes after Republicans failed to pass a rule needed to bring several bills to the floor. Among them, the National Defense Authorization Act, the annual bill that sets policy and priorities for the military.
What they did was they impeded and stopped the progress of the week. It is not helpful. We're moving really important legislation for the people, and we don't have time to waste.
House leaders attempted to pair the election reform measure with the defense bill. Without enough Republican support, the rule failed, halting floor action.
They did not get my vote. I'm not voting against Save America. I'm fighting for Save America, and I'm fighting for voter ID plus proof of citizenship.
Democrats like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez blasted the GOP standoff.
And when you ground the House to a halt over maximalist demands that you don't have the votes for, you also start grinding some of those things that don't get paid attention to a halt, that are in the business of keeping the lights on in America.
When the House returns, leaders will have to decide whether to keep the defense bill tied to the elections bill or split the two to break the deadlock. Rashad Hudson, News Nation, Washington.
So
there's an easy solution to this. Just don't tie the one bill to the other.
Well, look, I mean, this is something that we've seen before. So people are acting surprised. I'm not surprised because we have seen, I think, multiple times members within the Republican Party basically grinding things to a halt because there's a group of them that they want things to go differently. So, in fact, yesterday there was, yesterday, I had to think what day of the week it was, who said this. She said, who needs Democrats when you have your own party derailing the Trump agenda?
Yeah, and it took a few Republicans to do that.
14, by the way. 14.
A week ago, we were talking about tying the election reform bill, the Save America Act, to the housing bill, and Trump saying you can't have one without the other. Well, Speaker Johnson actually sort of took that to the next level and sent the bill to him anyway. So now they're saying, okay, well, we're going to tie the defense bill to it. And so it appears when the Democrats won't vote on the election reform bill that they're not supporting our defense.
Right.
There's some.
Speaking of the midterms, that does not play well with members of the military, especially. Right. To say you chose not to fund us, Republicans. Right. So, yeah, the Senate already took off, I think, last week for the 4th of July break. They're not due to be back either house until the 13th of July. Then they'll only be back for a couple of weeks, and then they'll take all of August off. They'll come back after Labor Day. They may or may not get some work done, and then everybody goes home because it's campaign season.
Oh, and you've got so much to get done. So they're not meeting for 2 weeks until the middle of July.
That's right.
They're taking August off, so they're only going to be there for 2 weeks. They've got a ton to get done in July. Maybe they will. Maybe the Speaker and the Senate President will get everybody together. But, man, they've got a lot to do if we want to get – they've got to get the Defense Authorization Act done in some way, I would assume, because that's going to look bad for both parties if we go to midterms without that. But the Save America Act just doesn't have the love. And no matter what the Republicans are trying to do to get that passed, to tie it with other bills, it just doesn't seem to be happening.
Yeah, and it's one of the issues. Like Mike Johnson is frustrated. He's frustrated with his own people. And yesterday, when the 14 Republicans initially rebelled, he's like, I'm going to go talk to them. We'll get this worked out. It didn't get worked out, and that's when he ended up canceling votes that were already scheduled for today and tomorrow at least. And everything's off the table, and they've all gone home.
And this applies to both parties, but there are lame ducks right now. People who either through acts of their own party were ousted in primaries or are just not running again, and they're not beholden to the party leadership. They're not beholden to the president. They're not beholden to anybody except to their own constituents and their own conscience. And so they're voting a little differently than strict party lines. And I think it happens with both. I mean, we've seen at least one Democrat, Fetterman. He's all over the place. But a number of Republicans, 14 in the House alone, which made the vote 198 to 224 in favor of stopping the bill. So, the Democrats
It was even just a procedural motion to approve rules to be able to move forward. They couldn't even get past the motion to proceed, right? So one of the people who voted against it was Representative Chip Roy from Texas, but he said his vote was because there wasn't enough action on immigration. So for him, it wasn't the election bill, it was the immigration bill. But he's like, you promised that we would get this done and it hasn't gotten done. So I'm a no.
Yeah, I mean, I think cooler heads will prevail. We'll see what happens they're not going to go to the Republican National Midterm Convention in September without.
And that's the first week of September, so it's like 2 days after they're supposed to go back.
Right after Labor Day. I think they've got to get some things done, or they're going to look really bad. Unless they just go spend the whole convention blaming the Democrats for not getting things done.
Well, of course, that's what happens. But when you talk about how to pass the Save America Act, they're just trying all kinds of different ways because it can't pass on its face, and so. That's why they were trying to do a filibuster in the Senate side. They were trying to talk about, can you do it in reconciliation with the budget bill? But even Mike Lee, who's one of the strongest proponents of the Save America Act, he says we can't do it through reconciliation. That means you don't need 60 votes, but that's where the Senate parliamentarian says this is not pertinent to this budget bill, and therefore it's stripped out, right?
So it's inappropriate.
Even Mike Lee is like, that's not going to fly. And so now they tried to tie it to housing, as you said, and now they're trying to tie it to the NDAA. I don't know what's going to happen. I suspect, there will be some kind of vote, but I'm guessing they're going to move forward with the NDAA and without this attached to it.
I don't know what it is. There are just too many Republicans who just are not going to get on board with that. Maybe they just feel like it's not good for them in terms of their own reelection or just their own conscience. But Mike Lee's one of the biggest cheerleaders for that.
Yeah.
Save America, and they don't have the votes. We've talked to Cami Mondo, I think, a couple times on this,
that's
and
right.
she said it's not going anywhere. There's no way it's going to get the votes.
They just don't have the votes.
Of course, you never know what the administration can do.
It makes me think of that Hamilton song. You don't have the votes. I've been listening to that this week. So anyway, that's the House is out. They've gone home. The Senate has gone home. Nothing's happening in D.C. except for a heat dome and America's 250th birthday.
Well, we're still working here at KSL, darn it. We're not going home for the weekend.
We will go home for the weekend, but not today.
Right.
Coming up next on Inside Sources, I didn't think we'd need to talk about the Supreme Court again today, but the outrage from people on the right over the court's decision on birthright citizenship, it's really, really wild, and I want to talk to you about that when we come back after this break.
Ready for an adventure millions of years in the making? Enter KSL News Radio's America 250 contest for your chance to win an unforgettable dinosaur country getaway. One lucky winner will enjoy a 2-night stay at Dinosaur Inn and Suites, explore Dinosaur National Monument, experience an exciting 4-person Green River rafting trip, and take on a thrilling guided Via Ferrata adventure in Ashley Gorge, sponsored by UNT County. Enter today at ksl.com/win.
Back for 2026. It's an event like no other. The Ute Stampede Rodeo's Extreme Bull Riding in Nephi, Utah at the Juab County Fairgrounds. July 8th, it's going to be a wild Wednesday as 40 of the best bull riders in pro rodeo battle it out against the best bulls in pro rodeo. Witness the hardest hitting and most exciting sport in professional rodeo. With a $35,000 purse, it's an event that you don't want to miss. Don't be left out and get your tickets now at UtestampedeRodeo.com.
Do you have the backyard blues because your grass isn't green? Revitalize your lawn with Revive, the fast-acting, organic-based lawn treatment for thicker, greener grass. Use Revive to ensure maximum moisture retention in your soil, especially when facing drought conditions. With Revive lawn products, get deeper watering, deeper roots, greener grass, and say goodbye to the backyard blues. Get your Revive today. Available as ready spray or granules at your local gardening center.
This year, Utahns are celebrating the 250th anniversary of our country, Utah style. Everything from Utah's red rock deserts and blue skies to our snowy peaks and canyons are worth celebrating. As America marks this historic anniversary, we invite you to honor the stories that ground us, the history of the people who came before us, and the places that shape us. Celebrating with Utah style means looking out for your neighbors, sharing a meal, working hard, dreaming, innovating, and finding connections with the people who make Utah, Utah. It's our land, our communities. It's our way of showing up for something bigger than ourselves. So raise a glass or a dirty soda and join us in celebrating our place in the American story. Find ways to celebrate and commemorate with your community this summer at america250.utah.gov.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-330-8323 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-330-8323. That's 800-330-8323. What do you have to lose? Call 800-330-8323. Again, 800-330-8323.
The more you listen to your kids, the closer you'll be. So we asked kids, what do you want your parents to hear?
I feel sometimes that I'm not listened to. I would just want you to listen to me more often and evaluate situations with me and lead me towards success.
We're not adults, so just be there and listen. I just want someone to yap to. And I just feel like I'll be fine if someone just hears me talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.
You're doing a really good job. And I don't think I tell you that enough. And I know sometimes we get into it and it's just hard on both of us. But try to understand me more and I'll try to do the same.
Listening is a form of love. Find resources to help you support your kids and their emotional well-being at sounditouttogether.org. That's sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal.
Inside Sources.
Well, it's only been 24 hours since the Supreme Court of the United States issued its final decision regarding birthright citizenship, and I didn't know that I maybe overthought this, but the outrage has been pretty strong. It's
So bizarre, right? I'm just amazed at some of the vitriol being tossed at the court. There's death threats, of course. There's all kinds of stuff I'm seeing. It also feels like a lot of people who are posting who call themselves MAGA, they're acting like the 14th Amendment was something created yesterday by the Supreme Court. I was like, no, it's been in place for 150 plus years.
Yeah, birthright citizenship has been on the books for 150 years. It's been a part of our country for 150 years. The whole purpose that we got to yesterday was because the president issued an executive order right after he took office saying
to undo
we
parts
need to
of it.
undo part of it. So anyway, the ruling from the Supreme Court reaffirms really a century and a half of legal precedent that kids born in the United States are automatically American citizens. Here's ABC's Sophie Flay with more.
Many legal experts expected a lopsided decision on what was considered settled law. Instead, 3 justices dissented. Justice Clarence Thomas arguing the 14th Amendment was written to guarantee citizenship to freed slaves. Trump has made the same argument.
It wasn't for billionaire Chinese people who have 57 children that become American citizens.
At the heart of the case, what the administration calls birth tourism. Women traveling from countries like China to give birth in U.S. hospitals to secure citizenship for their babies.
So we have to talk about that a little bit, too. So still, I've seen stuff like the idea that somebody can sprint from Guatemala into the U.S. and give birth 30 minutes later is outrageous. And I'm like, my dude, first of all, geography. Guatemala doesn't border the United States. Right. Second of all, it's clear to me you've never been around a laboring woman who's 30 minutes away from giving birth. She's not running anywhere, right? And then another post about, these women are getting on airplanes and they're doing a week. No, they're not. No airline is going to let them on. Now, there are people who are calling for mandatory sterilization for any foreign visitors. There are people who are calling for mandatory pregnancy tests for all females. I even see somebody calling, this is a woman, calling for all female foreign people in the United States to be immediately deported. Deport all the women immediately.
I think that what happened was people didn't recognize or remember, or it didn't occur to them, like you said, that this has been the law for 150 years. And so when it's brought into their face, they're like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. That shouldn't be the law.
They didn't care 10 years ago, by the way.
Right. Or 10 months ago. It was like, wait a second, this doesn't seem right. And I think that the president was onto something when he said this doesn't seem right, and touched a nerve with a lot of Americans. But it is part of our Constitution, and it was, if you recall what was happening in that period of time, they were thinking about deporting slaves who weren't born in the United States, and the country said, no, you can't do that. I mean, let's face it, they were born here, they should be citizens. And so let's make the 14th Amendment was part of the abolition and what we were doing with slavery. Let's make it fair.
So there's another piece to this too, and that was in the late 1800s. There was a challenge to the birthright citizenship, very, very similar to what you're saying right now. And this was because Chinese immigrants, they were the out group at the time. Now we're looking at people who have Hispanic heritage as the out group at the time, but they couldn't be citizens even if they were born here. And so there was a challenge, and the Supreme Court reaffirmed in the late 1800s, I think it was like 1898, reaffirmed that if you are born on U.S. soil, then you are a citizen of this country. So this idea, that somehow this is just created by an activist court out of whole cloth is really something. And I'm seeing people calling Amy Coney Barrett a DEI hire. And I'm like, okay, so Amy Barrett has, I would say, ruled with the Trump administration far more often than she has ruled against it, including multiple opportunities to expand the executive branch's power. And yet when she sticks with this, the 14th Amendment, people are losing their minds.
And, we talked about yesterday the rule of law and the importance of precedents and the importance of having some, the Supreme Court giving us some guidance. So we have a constitutional provision that's clear. Being born in the United States soil makes you a U.S. citizen. And there's some tweaks to that as well. And then we had the United States Supreme Court opinion involving the Chinese case. I wish I could think of the name of it. But they affirmed that ruling. So there's two strikes. And so this executive order, although, I would say this, I think people who are upset about the birthright citizenship should be a little bit optimistic about what happened yesterday, because it was, like we just heard from Sophie Flay from ABC, closer than people thought. I thought it was going to be 7-2. It was actually 6-3.
It should have been 9-0, by the way.
It should have been 9-0. Of course, you know that Alito and Thomas are not going to, buck the system. So those were the two that I thought. I didn't realize they'd get a third member, and there was even some language in one of the justices saying, well, maybe Congress can do something and say something, and we can revisit this in the year. So Trump jumped on that in a minute and said, we'll consider some legislation.
So I've seen plenty that is saying, look, you can't by legislation undo a constitutional amendment. You can't do that. What they can do is potentially make it more narrow. There are already people calling for no immigration at all, which is kind of where we're at anyway. But there are some things you could do legislatively, but you can't overturn this amendment. The process to do that is to run another constitutional amendment, has to pass by 2/3 in each body separately, and then by 3/4 of the states.
Which
never going to happen.
There's no way that's going to happen.
No.
But that they're going to take another run at this in a year or two, through legislatively or whatever. Maybe the Supreme Court will flip. Who knows where they're going to go.
So if you've ever heard of the group, the Federalist, they're pretty far on the right, but their founder and CEO said that this is how you nullify the 14th Amendment. States refused to issue birth certificates to what he is labeling non-citizens. Again, if you're born here, you are a citizen. He says pack the court, deny entry to all female foreigners, require sterilization of all foreign visitors prior to entry, and then just think about dissolving the union because a nation which can't restrict who gets to be a citizen isn't a nation. I'm like, wow. I told you yesterday, I saw people calling for civil war. I saw people saying the Supreme Court justices who ruled to keep birthright citizenship should all be hung and publicly executed. What are we doing?
I know. And whoever said we should pack the court has no idea. This court has never in my lifetime been more packed than it is right now. I mean, you couldn't possibly get it any more packed.
I think what he's proposing is hurry and do it quick while Trump still has the ability to get that through, which would be up through November of this year.
Well, the only justice that's thinking of retiring is Alito, and he's the furthest right of them all. I mean, who are you going to replace him with? Somebody worse or more right, I should say.
So, look, we do have a texter that says they think it's a very interesting discussion and they don't think the SCOTUS ruling is going to be the end of it. I suspect that might be true, that if some people feel like there's an opening, they're going to keep going after it. But I think midterm elections are going to be really consequential, and we're going to see if the House flips. Again, they're expecting it to flip. If the House flips to Democratic control, then basically the president's agenda is completely stymied for the next 2 years. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I would say this. We've only got about a minute left, but there were decisions yesterday, the two decisions about transgender athletes. And it wasn't a groundbreaking decision, but boy, there were people on both sides of that were either screaming in agony
right.
or doing cartwheels. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, it just whether states can enact policy wasn't like
on Title
forcing
IX
anybody to do anything. I mean, these Supreme Court decisions aren't necessarily life-altering. You know what I mean? Like,
well, if you're a trans athlete, it is life-altering. But yes, I know what you're saying.
But I mean, flipping Roe v. Wade made a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these decisions have made a difference, but I mean, I don't know. I don't see these as you're either all the way in or you're all the way out.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court makes decisions what it thinks is right, 6-3, 7-2, whatever, and follows the Constitution the best they can. I don't know.
So yeah, it's a fun process to watch.
Yeah. What's also been a fun process is some of the people apologizing for saying China was behind the pushback on the data center in Box Elder County. We're going to talk more about that and how we can be more patriotic in our own way. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour is breaking news. The Utah Jazz have traded Walker Kessler to the Los Angeles Lakers for unprotected first-round picks in 2031 and 2033, as well as first-round swaps in 2028 and 2030. ESPN reports Kessler is expected to sign a 4-year, $130 million deal with the Lakers. We'll see highs in the upper 80s and 90s this holiday weekend, but we'll also see more cloud cover. KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson goes over what June has looked like for us.
Precipitation-wise, 18% of normal with 0.17 in the rain gauge for Salt Lake City. Of course, other places along the Wasatch Front picked up more than that, some locations doing a half inch to an inch on the month of June. Looking into the month of July, there is a signal that we could see the monsoon start to crank up. We'll have to keep an eye on it as trends continue.
Matt says typically we see triple-digit days in June, but this June we didn't get a single one. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump is on his way to North Dakota to attend an opening of the Teddy Roosevelt Library. This trip is the first one on the new Air Force One, which was given to the president by Qatar. President Trump touted the plane and the renovations he made to it to reporters today before leaving Washington.
This was a gift from a country that's treated us very well, and they're an ally of us over in the Middle East, Qatar. And I went to Boeing, I said, who has the best one? They said, Qatar. There's never been a plane like it. Frankly, we couldn't build a plane like this because we wouldn't be willing to spend the kind of money necessary. They spent top dollar. So the head of Boeing said this is considered the best 747 they've ever built.
The plane is from the Qatari royal family. It's available for President Trump to use until the end of his presidency. After that, Trump will either use it at his presidential library or allow his successor to use it. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 315 points now to 52,634. Coming up, we've got warm temperatures today, and it only goes up through the weekend, the holiday weekend. Traffic and weather together is next. KSL News Time, 10:02.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Higher taxes, soaring inflation, record low interest rates, and the skyrocketing cost of healthcare. The list goes on. Retiring successfully today is a lot more complicated than ever before. Learn how you can tackle the biggest challenges that you'll face in retirement today. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio. It's this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL News Radio 1027.
Are you an adult with uncontrolled moderate to severe Crohn's disease symptoms and still packing a backup bag of clothes? Just in case, Skyrizi Risankizumab Riza can help you take control of your Crohn's. Feel significant symptom relief, including less abdominal pain and fewer bowel movements at 4 weeks. Plus, Skyrizi is proven to help people achieve remission and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Individual results may vary. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's. Ready to take control of your Crohn's? Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's disease.
Control is everything to me.
Learn more at skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI.
Everything to my back is dark.
High in the alpine wilderness.
Really ugly clouds coming over from the north.
A place
the ridgeline is imposing the escarpments, the drops.
where survival,
It's dark now. I have nothing.
is never certain.
This is not good.
My name's Dave Cawley, and I'm the host of a podcast called Uinta Triangle. It's about the disappearance of an Australian hiker named Eric.
Our conclusion and that of the sheriff is that the mountains have decided to keep him.
Come retrace Eric's footprints with me.
You have done this walk too, but this is your backyard.
Did he really make a wrong turn, or did he decide that he was done?
He is not the first or last person to vanish in this remote region.
It was haunting to see the photos. I mean, really.
Find and follow the podcast series Uinta Triangle. That's Uinta, spelled U-I-N-T-A, Triangle, wherever you get your podcasts. All episodes out now.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU auto loan rates as low as 4.74% APR. In the traffic center, here's Cormac Bone.
Northbound I-15 still seeing some pretty heavy traffic, and that's from 123rd South Draper up almost to 90th South. And those are residual delays after a couple of crashes that are since cleared off the road. The last crash that we do see is at 7200 South in Midvale, and they are driving away as we speak, so no delays behind them, and the residual delays just working their way out there in Draper on North 15. South 15 is seeing a little bit of heavy traffic going from Springville into Spanish Fork in Utah County approaching the US 6 turnoff, though those delays are dying out as well. Common Spirit hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advanced healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with Human Kindness is here. Hello, Human Kindness. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, the clouds will stick around today. We've got partly cloudy skies right now. Highs today only up to the upper 80s, 88 the forecasted high. Tomorrow, though, 89, Friday 91, Saturday 93, keeps going up. 4th of July, 93 degrees, the forecasted high. Right now it's 73 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, let's talk data centers and those people who spread Kevin O'Leary's claims that there was Chinese interference with that continue to apologize for those claims after O'Leary himself said, "Oops,
I have no evidence.
Made a mistake." Right.
Yeah, and Fox News actually over the weekend shared a pretty stiff and legalistic apology on a few of their programs. And now a Utah state senator is also apologizing, saying he was duped.
Yeah, well, let's talk more from the state senator, Todd Weiler, who's been a friend of our show for some time.
Hi, Todd.
Hey, good morning, Holly. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning. Hey, look, we're going to put you on the hot seat a little bit. What happened here?
Well, I've always been the type of person, if I repeat something that's not true or if I'm wrong, I try to get ahead of it and admit it. I do that in court. I'm sure Greg can appreciate that. And I do it on my social media. I guess what I didn't realize is I did it on a slow news day. So the Tribune made it its top story. But look at a lot of people. Some people have praised me, saying, "Hey, thanks for taking some accountability." Other people have said, "Well, if you would have taken 2 minutes." And here's what I've learned from this: I do think it's easier to believe something when it's about a rival, whether it's a sports rival, a political rival, a religious rival, whatever. And I'm gonna, that's something I knew. I think this reinforced it to me. But the sad thing is I actually had researched this, and I'm pretty good about not doing quick knee-jerk reactions when something big happens in the news. So what my tweet thread said was, look, you can hate Kevin O'Leary and you can hate the Stratus Data Center, but you still might want to question why an organization like Alliance for Better Utah is receiving Chinese donations. And to what Greg said, I never believed like the Chinese government was writing a check. But what O'Leary had said was he has said that he's a billionaire, and he said that he had into the 990s, which are charitable contribution reports. There was enough about it that it sounded true, and it is true that we are in a race with AI and but like every good con, there's enough elements of truth in there that I believed it. And it wasn't. I wasn't tweeting about Chinese direct reaction to the Stratos Center. It was more that some of the companies or grants that ABU had received over the years could have had some Chinese money tied to it. And as soon as I saw O'Leary basically said, "Aha, I lied to everyone," then I wanted to retract what I had said. So,
well, Todd, I for one appreciate your taking accountability, and I have nothing but the highest regard for your integrity. So I don't see that this is a problem. But can you just tell our listeners, and I think you articulated it here just a minute ago, what you were relying on? Was it just the what you thought O'Leary was saying and what he was trying to get across?
Yeah, I think my mistake was when this billionaire said that he had actually hired people to dig in and do some research, and that it took him a couple of days, but they had found these connections. I think I believed him, and that was a mistake, and I'll learn from that. But if you read my tweet thread, and probably hardly anybody did, I was basically summarizing what KSL and ABC4 Utah had reported about what Kevin O'Leary was saying. I never said that I had researched it. I'm saying, hey, this is something that ought to give some people some pause. And, Alliance for Better Utah, they are kind of arm in arm with the Utah Democratic Party. I'm a Republican, so that's why I mentioned the rival things. And so, I do think it's easier to believe something about an enemy or a rival, and I'm going to try to learn from that mistake.
I appreciate that, and I really do, Todd. So I think that is very insightful of you, and it's true, right? It's easier to believe it when it comes from your own side. So I do want to ask you about this because you're both attorneys, sure, and I'm not. But O'Leary said that he had a demand letter that came to him before he issued that it wasn't even an apology, but it was a I don't have any evidence statement. Can you, either one of you as attorneys, tell me what is a demand letter and how might that different than maybe cease and desist or something?
Well, it's very similar. It's usually demanding a retraction or demanding some money or demanding you keep their contract before a lawsuit. And by the way, some people have speculated that I've been sued or I've been threatened with a suit. I haven't. I don't expect to be, unless KSL and ABC4 are sued as well. But some people have suspected it's because some of my colleagues lost primaries. I'm not up for re-election this year. Look, this is nothing more than me just saying, I believe somebody that I shouldn't have, that I'm sorry, and I will try to be more careful in the future. But I don't know. I've lost a lot of respect for Mr. Wonderful. Not that I was a huge fan before, but I have watched Shark Tank, and I just take people at their word. If somebody says I hired a team of researchers and this is what they found, I tend to believe that, and I guess I should be more suspicious.
So I just have a follow-up with that. So you just mentioned the election cycle. Do you think that it was Stuart Adams' involvement with MITA and the data center that really resulted in his loss?
Yes. I think he might have had a close election otherwise, but I think that was a tidal wave of public reaction and controversy. I think it was impossible for anyone to overcome. And of course, the timing, was a perfect storm for, his opponents, really. Yeah.
I just wanted to note this on Kevin O'Leary's his company being asked specifically if they're going to stop after or slow down even after Stuart Adams' loss. They said, nope, from our perspective, it's business as usual. I think
and
there we go.
One thing that I think people should know is the legislature passed a bill, and I voted for it, that is going to make it harder for data centers to be approved in the future. And one of the reasons why you saw this being rushed, and the Brigham City vote was on May 4th, which was my birthday, was because the new law went into effect on May 6th. And so they were trying to get this in under the wire, which is, I think, why the public was left out maybe of the process in the rush. But I want your viewers to take some confidence that even if we do nothing, and I'm not saying we'll do nothing, but it will be harder for a data center like this in the future to be approved by the new law that we voted for in February and took effect on May 6th.
All right. Well, thanks, Todd. He actually apologized for something I didn't even know he'd done. So talk about a guy of high integrity.
All right.
Well, thanks, Greg. You guys take care.
Thanks, Todd.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Up next on Inside Sources, a tried and true scam is now impacting young adults dealing with housing. And honestly, I'm a little shocked that people who grew up in the world of scams are still falling for them. We're going to talk with Matt Gebhardt next.
Hey, I got to give a shout out to Soda Diet Nutrition because they're having a summer offer right now, 4 weeks free. Call 866-800-SODA and mention KSL Radio. You get 4 weeks free, and it's 4 weeks of diet, 4 weeks of nutrition, 4 weeks of the same thing I had back in April where I lost 18 pounds in 4 weeks, lost 30 pounds in 7 weeks. Soda has been a great program for me because I wanted to do something based on diet, not based on medication or anything like that. So I contacted Soda. They sent me a nutritionist, and she's been great. She contacts me every week and says, okay, here's what we're going to do. Here's what your diet should include. You don't need to buy it through us. You can just go to your grocery store and get it. But she set a diet plan for me. It was great. I wasn't starving myself. I wasn't jumping into the gym every day trying to lose weight. It was just based on diet. I do work out still, which is great. But I lost the weight through Soda Diet Nutrition. It's been great. It's a program I intend to stay with for the rest of my life. And because Soda has been great for me, and I'll say it again, Soda is state of the art.
This is Colin Keary from the New Millennium Group. Have you ever had a question for your financial advisor only to find out that the next available appointment is months away? At New Millennium Group, we believe that financial advice should never be limited to once-a-year review meetings. Life happens every single day. Markets change, retirement questions come up, family situations evolve, and when they do, you deserve answers. That's why we pride ourselves at the New Millennium Group on being accessible when our clients need us most. Whether you're wondering wondering about your investments or a major life decision, our team is here to help provide guidance. We're not interested in being the firm you hear from once a year. We want to be your trusted resource throughout your entire retirement journey. If you're looking for a financial team that values relationships, communication, and responsiveness, we'd love to meet you. Give us a call today at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or visit us at utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
The sounds of summer. They're great until they're not. Luckily, AutoZone has free battery testing and charging
Let me check that for you.
to help make a rough moment smooth. Don't miss the Celebrate Free event at AutoZone. Free products with select deals until July 27th. And free services every day. Restrictions apply.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
Nathan has taught me to embrace the moment. Age-wise, I'm in my late 60s. I'm old enough to be his grandfather. Will he be embarrassed to acknowledge me as his dad? I think the most important thing we can do is let them know that they're safe, that they're valued and cared for and loved, and that they're important.
I knew I wanted to be adopted by him because of how he taught me to be the person who I am today. And it's coming from a dad that didn't expect to become a dad. And I feel very proud to be his son.
That was what he needed, and he was what I needed. Every day is full of new opportunities. That's what it's been about, realizing the simple things that it takes to make such a huge difference in these kids' lives.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care at adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a gripping new 9-part investigative podcast about a serial killer you've probably never heard of, Warren Forrest, a sadistic predator who prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He hid behind the deeds of Ted Bundy, and he's only been convicted of 2 murders, but is suspected of many more. Since the release of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a witness identified in the podcast could lead investigators to the remains of Jamie Grissom.
He ran into the woods. He said he stumbled. As he fell down, he looks up and sees the body of a young woman.
And now the FBI is testing forensic evidence that had been collecting dust for decades. This cold case is now red hot. Binge the entire season of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley right now, wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the latest breaking news.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Utah college students who are scrambling to sell summer housing contracts are finding themselves in the crosshairs of good old-fashioned scammers.
It's just part of Americana these days. But these young adults who grew up with the internet, you'd think were a little more savvy to scams, but they're still falling for these run-of-the-mill scams.
So really, I think it's important to know that anyone who lets their guard down, who thinks it needs to stop and think, is this too good to be true? They can fall prey to bad actors.
Well, let's bring in our resident sleuth, Matt Gephardt, investigative reporter. Matt, thanks for joining us this morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm great. Hey, have you had a chance to look at this latest one? We're looking at an article by Emily Walker from the Deseret News. Did you happen to catch that one?
I did. Yeah, I read the article. It's interesting. It's scary. It's another ideation of, as you guys say, the same kind of scams we've been reporting on now for decades. I
know. And, so 2 parts of it, right? One, can you tell us about the scam? And then my second question actually is, I thought young adults were a little more cynical about these types of things.
Okay, so the scam is housing. People have housing contracts, especially coming in and out of college years, as reported by Emily. And this is, to be clear, not a specific venue that I've ever reported on myself, but reading the article, it's a scam that basically is people who are looking to get out of contracts and looking to sell these contracts and listing them for sale online. So often through social media, and then rather than being contacted by somebody who's looking to rent their place, or as the case may be, somebody who's maybe looking to rent, either somebody who has a place for rent or somebody who's looking to rent a place, they end up not talking to somebody who's bona fide. They end up talking to a scammer who's basically just trying to manipulate them into sending money. In the case, as reported, having to do with the college students, it's usually like somebody has a housing contract, they've decided they've gotten married and they're moving in with their spouse, or they're found new roommates, or they're changing their housing situation, but they have this contract that they want to get out of, and so they list it for sale. Somebody contacts them and they say something to the effect of, well, I don't want to have to pay the application fee myself, so why don't you just wire this money via Venmo? Or, oops, oh gosh, I'm so sorry, you said pay you $100, I accidentally put an extra zero there, can you wire me $900 back? And then it gets into kind of the typical scam.
Yeah, those are
situation. Once you wire money away, it's gone.
That's crazy.
those are just variations, aren't they, Matt, of some existing scams? The whole, hey, I sent you a little too much money. I apologize. You can keep the change, but send me the extra that I paid you back. I mean, I don't know. People fall for it. They still seem to fall for it, but that's one that's been going on for some time.
So I'll say a couple of things. Taking half a step back to Holly, you mentioned that this scams, generally speaking, you don't think of computer savvy, which tend to be the younger generation, as being the people that fall for this. But we saw a couple of things happen in perfect chaos, where we are actually seeing that the people who are being targeted the most and who are losing the most money do tend to be younger people, as opposed to the older generations. And a lot of that has to do with, one, social media. When you're not meeting people face to face and you're dealing on social media, there is a huge opportunity for scams, and those sorts of things. And younger people tend to be on social media. And two was COVID. When that all happened and we all got used to doing things that we didn't used to do historically on the internet, or not in person, then all of a sudden you saw huge surges in these types of scams.
So I do think it's interesting, and I understand like the urgency component, right? So one of the people that they talked to in the article was feeling a lot of financial pressure to get out of the contract. Yeah. And so this sounded great, right? The guy who wanted to take over his contract wanted to pay him more, but he wanted this money up front, right? And it was really just happenstance that one was interrupted because somebody else came in the room and was like, I know that voice, and he tried to scam me too. So there seems to be particular patterns, right, that scammers with this particular thing, like they're searching for people who are, well, what are we, June, and school ended a month ago. So yeah, they are desperate to get out of these contracts, the last couple of months of them. What should students or anybody else be looking for? Again, remind us again, what should we be looking for as red flags?
That is the question. And unfortunately, there isn't a really obvious answer here. And as I read the last lines of the article, it is frustrating to me because it's like, well, use common sense, use best judgment. It's like, I don't know what that means, right? Because I'm trying to sell this thing. And part of the reason housing scams work is because one of the big things you say to people is don't do it unless you can meet in person. Mm-hmm. And okay, well, there are workarounds to meeting in person. We'll have them hop on a video chat or something so you can see they're an actual person. Well, okay, AI has made that to the point that how do you even know you're dealing with a real person? So I would start by saying housing scams, you really are taking a lot of risk and there's not a lot of great workarounds. And part of the reason is because it makes sense. That somebody would say, I can't come see the place. I want to rent the place in the fall. I'm not coming to University of Utah or BYU or Utah State until the fall. I'm in Florida or I'm in California or whatever. So I can't come do this in person. So that's part of the reason that housing scams in particular, be it around college or otherwise, have worked is because or real estate scams is because it makes sense that somebody's out of town. And then one thing I would say, one trick that I interviewed somebody, an expert on AI, because right now it's to the point that we all seen the deep fakes where I can create a Greg Skordas or a Holly and have them actually act and sound and speak the way that you guys actually do. But one of the things AI can't do, at least not yet, is manipulate the background. And so one of the things, and it sounds so silly, but as you're talking to people, as you're saying like, hey, forgive me, but I'm trying to protect myself from being scammed here. Would you do me a favor and stand up and go manipulate that thing in the back of the room or spin around? I mean, those are the kind of things that AI can't really do yet, is like do something besides just look at the camera. So stand up and go say, move that book in the background or whatever the case may be. And if you're not satisfied, walk away. I mean, I know that we're feeling a lot of financial pressure. I've been there. I've had a situation where I bought a new house before I sold my old house. And it's like, oh my gosh, for every month that was happening, I had 2 mortgages and it was just money I was throwing away. So I know it's stressful, but if you could just avoid being in that situation in the first place, that of course would be best. But if there's any red flags at all, run, don't walk away, because I would say it's probably, I don't know, I don't want to give numbers, but I would guess 50-1 scammers versus bona fide people.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really sad, Matt. We love talking to you, but we have to talk about these scams all the time, and it almost seems like the default is to assume you're being scammed with some of these, and then act as though you are, and take every step you can to prevent it from getting worse, which is that's not the way we like to deal with people. That's not the way we like to interact with people when you're buying a car or renting a house or doing something, to just assume the worst. But anymore, it seems, to avoid the problem, you have to have your guard up all the time. Doesn't it seem like that, Matt?
It does indeed, and it is sad. And I used to not be a cynical person, and then I became an investigative reporter, and now I am a professional cynic. Yeah. And it is unfortunate. It's I can't go. I can't go to a sushi restaurant without assuming they're trying to rip me off with the tuna or whatever the case may be, right? But that is the reality of the world, and it used to be. We've talked about this before, but it used to be big money in a very different way, where it was targeting kind of just the masses, just send carpet bomb the country with bogus checks, and now it's they really are building files on us as individuals, and they're using the metadata that they're hacking or buying or whatever the case may be, and because of that, the number of times I've interviewed sophisticated people who've gone, man, they just had an answer for everything. I mean, it used to be like, oh my God, I'm so stupid, and it's not that anymore. It's like they knew everything. They said they were my bank calling. They said this. I actually reached out to them to begin these interactions. All the things that used to be the dead giveaways just aren't dead giveaways anymore.
Yeah, you're right. Well, thanks, Matt. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Sorry to bum everybody out.
No. You're the best. Thank you so much.
It's helpful. It's helpful.
Hey, coming up next on Inside Sources.
If I were a rich man,
Fiddler on the Roof. Well, let's talk about wealth when we come back. Even with a growing anti-wealthy sentiment, Americans still want to be wealthy. Stay with us.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. In case you hadn't heard yet, the Utah Jazz have traded center Walker Kessler to the LA Lakers. The Lakers sending the Jazz unprotected first-round picks in 2031 and 2033. And the teams can swap first-round picks in 2028 and 2030 if the Lakers have better draft positioning than Utah. ESPN first broke the news of the trade, is also reporting Kessler will expected to get a 4-year, $130 million deal with the Lakers. He spent his first 4 seasons in Utah, but missed nearly all of last season with a shoulder injury. Residents in the Poplar Grove neighborhood are concerned after a handful of peacocks have been killed in the last 2 months. KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson explains.
The first peacock was run down in early May. Police obtained a video of a black Toyota Tacoma hitting a peacock and speeding away without stopping. Since then, 3 more peafowl have been found dead. There was also a reported incident last week when a resident said they saw a truck of a similar description, and the driver reportedly told them he was trying to hit the birds with his car. If you know anything about this, you're asked to report it to Salt Lake City Police.
The Poplar Grove Community Council chair says the peacocks have been mascots for them for decades, so it's disheartening that anyone would want to intentionally hurt them. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Job creation fell off in June. ABC's Jim Ryan says small businesses had the lion's share of job generation.
The employment report from payroll processor ADP found that 98,000 jobs were added to the economy last month, down from 122,000 the month before, and well below the anticipated 110,000. The highest number of new positions were in businesses with fewer than 20 employees.
Your money at this moment, the Dow up 391 points to 52,710. Coming up, looking at a forecast through the 4th of July. It's going to be a hot weekend for the whole 4th of July weekend. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
In about a half an hour, KSL News Radio will host a special town hall called Utah Unites America 250, brought to you by American First Credit Union and the state of Utah. How can we find commonality in politics and bridge what can often feel like extreme political divides? KSL legend Doug Wright will moderate a panel of 3 well-known Utah political figures from both sides of the aisle as they have a discussion on unity. It's a special hour, commercial-free, beginning at 11 o'clock right here on KSL News Radio.
Usually when something sounds way too good to be true, it is. Imagine someone saying you can cut your mobile bill in half. Sounds like a fantasy, but with Xfinity Mobile, it's the real deal. Because when you have Xfinity Internet, you can cut your mobile bill in half, plus try Xfinity Mobile free for a year. No commitment. That's a lot of streaming, sharing, scrolling, whatever else you can do with your phone, all for half the price and none of the commitment. That means you'll save big over Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. Wild. Now all you have to do is think about how you'll spend all that extra money. Call 1-800-XFINITY, go to xfinitymobile.com, or visit your local Xfinity store to switch today. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Savings compare one line of Xfinity Mobile Select to comparable plans from T-Mobile, Verizon, and AT&T as of 3/24/26. Taxes, fees extra. $30 monthly discount limited to new mobile customers only after 12 months. Regular rates apply. Go to xfinitymobile.com.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Will?
When I was 50, my whole life fell apart. I lost my job, I lost my wife, I lost the house, I lost pretty much everything except for my life. When the IRS came calling, I just didn't have it in me. I felt like Wile E. Coyote, just waiting for that IRS anvil to drop.
Then Will found Tax Relief Advocates.
I heard their advertisement on the radio, I wrote down the number, and I made the call that changed everything. The IRS gave me a bill for $40,000. Tax Relief Advocates got that down to $3,200. I've paid 9 cents on the dollar. Now that's a great deal in anybody's book.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Will did and call TRA for a consultation.
But for me, the real win is I got my life back.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-488-4194. 800-488-4194. That's 800-488-4194.
Is the volatility of the stock market driving you crazy? Is your retirement account sinking, yet you're getting older and you're starting to worry about, will I have enough for retirement? What about the money in the bank? These banks pay nothing these days. How do we get growth to get to retirement account? It's simple. Move into gold and silver. Want to know how to do it? Listen to my show, Striking Gold, with me, Kenny Michaels.
Now on Saturday at 5 p.m.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Here's Cormac Bone.
All our major accidents and delays have really cleared out all across the Wasatch Front and shouldn't run into anything slow on any of the major freeways. Just normal delays to expect. Mountain View Corridor, both directions, 3500 south, especially northbound, and Bangerter Highway, both directions at the 201 freeway, also northbound, getting heavier. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
ASL weather forecast. Clouds sticking around for today. Highs in the upper 80s, a high of 88 today, 89 tomorrow, 91 on Friday. On 4th of July, looking at mostly sunny skies, 93 degrees. Right now, it's 75 and partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
I should turn up my mic. New reporting says that it was on, it just wasn't up. The number of ultra-rich continues to grow around the world, and that's especially here in the United States.
And Jay Evenson at the Deseret News writes that despite the push for more socialistic candidates from across the country, Americans still show a strong desire for wanting to get rich. But I also note that he wrote that wealth comes with problems sometimes.
Yeah, it does. And I guess the target for ultra rich has changed too, Jay. I used to think a millionaire was you had it
ultra
made.
Rich.
Now it's like you got $1 million. That just means you got a nice house.
30 million is the floor. Ultra rich is 30
Oh my
million
word!
or-
Yeah,
That's the floor.
Yeah. So
Well, that's out of my reach.
Sophie Tucker, the vaudeville actress, used to say, "I've been rich and I've been poor. Rich is better."
Yeah.
And I think most people feel that way. There's been a lot of study done on the effects of poverty, and it does go hand in hand with certain mental illnesses and with depression, and their stresses trying to make ends meet and having bills to pay that you can't pay. We understand that, but apparently there are stresses that come with being ultra wealthy as well.
So I know, like, the joke is, well, just try me, Lord, try me, right? Curse
Right.
me with riches.
Right.
But tell us some of the stressors that come with for families, especially when it comes to having lots of money.
Well, there was a piece in Time magazine that I talk about this doctor, and he talks about dealing with patients that are very wealthy. And he said one family in particular, their son had a gambling problem. And they were able, because they had a lot of money, to just pay off the debts and just kind of avoid the confrontation. And over time, this amounted to about $1 million in gambling debts paid off. But he said because they never really confronted the problem, they never really had to make their son be accountable for what he was doing, that the son ended up being estranged from the family. And he says if money is not an object, people no longer have to compromise or negotiate or forgive or sacrifice. Those are things that strengthen bonds. What that child needed was boundaries and accountability, and even then, of course, I don't want to oversimplify this. There are problems with addictions and gambling addictions that are very difficult to overcome, no matter what your socioeconomic status is. But you tend to have to confront your problems head on if you don't have much money. But then again, I'm sure a lot of people would like to have that experience and try it out for themselves.
But it does seem, Jay, that there's a point of being comfortable, and that's a point that's a good place to be. I mean, just recently, my wife and I are buying some property, and the realtor thought we were rich. And I'm like, we're not. She goes, well, you don't want to buy this in your own name because people will hear who you are and they'll think you have a lot of money. You should set up an LLC. I'm like, life's too short. You know what I mean? Like if you get to some point where you have money and you have to hide. I'm not there. I didn't have to set up an LLC because we're not there. But it made me think about, boy, is there a point when you become so rich that people don't take you seriously anymore?
People in the world think Americans are ostentatious and, they watch shows like Dallas and that kind of thing. They think that we're all like that. But it's not very popular culturally. And I think we're at a point now, of course, we saw in the election results this week, socialist Democrats making headway where we hadn't expected that before. And one of their main points is to want to tax the rich more. And so it's kind of this interesting sort of dualistic dueling Americas, because we tend, there's a lot of dissatisfaction with Washington. We know that we're in great national debt. We're approaching $40 trillion of debt, and we have to do something to pay that off. There's this feeling we need to tax the rich more, although if you look at it, the rich do pay most of the taxes in this country. But at the same time, everybody wants to be rich, and we're struggling to do that. And I think there's nothing wrong with that, actually. I think it's ennobling to work hard, to work 2 jobs or extra hours in order to help provide security for your family. So who are we really as Americans? And the Wall Street Journal would argue that there's a lot of us who are in the ultra wealthy. And I mentioned, and you talked about it, Greg, they found that the ultra wealthy grew by 14.4% last year. That's worldwide, but about 37% of that growth was here in the United States, which was far and away the largest percentage of any nation in the world.
I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the what happens to a generation where maybe the parents worked hard and they were able to step up and become wealthy, even if they're not ultra wealthy, but they were able to become wealthy. What happens to the kids who end up getting that money handed to them? I mean, you already mentioned the young man who never had boundaries or accountability. Yeah. But what other things happen if you just are given a whole bunch of money?
That's a very good question. The stories that I read talk about, the AI economy and different reasons why more people are becoming wealthy. But the other truth is that the younger generation, those between about 30 and 60, are poised to inherit a combined $18 trillion over the next few years. There's a lot of wealth out there from the baby boom generation. That they're aging, they're dying, and they're bequeathing money to their children. Are those kids equipped with the skills necessary to take care of that money, or will it cause problems? Will some of them lose those fortunes and squander them away? I think there tends to be the feeling that if I had a lot of money, my problems would disappear. Mm-hmm. And I think they'll find that that's not true. And there are a host of other problems, not to mention other relatives who suddenly come and want money for their problems. In America, we tend to think that if you earn it, then you know how to take care of it. If it's handed to you, that's different.
I'll tell you something I've seen in my own. We seem to have an emergency coming on here. Our producers walked in. What's going on? Breaking news?
Kind of. We just wanted to make our listeners aware that we are watching this really weird situation unfolding right now on the top of the Empire State Building. Oh. 2 people have climbed the top of the Empire State Building on a spire. They were masked and unfurled a flag up at the top that we still don't really know what it said. We're watching coverage right now of it, though, and it looks like they're proposing at the top of the spire, which in and of itself, I'm like, okay, that's kind of odd. You propose and then go to jail together, I guess. But we're watching this. We really don't know exactly what's going on. We're just kind of watching it on the screens right now, but it's kind of gathering national attention because it's not every day you see people climbing the top of the Empire State Building.
I do see what the banner says, and the banner says, when the power of love beats the love of power, the world knows peace.
There you go. I think it's great. I thought maybe they were soccer fans.
Jay, what do you think about that?
Well, I have really bad vertigo. I don't even want to look at those.
Anyway, that's our little breaking news. We are watching that right now.
2 people at the top.
I don't know if they're wealthy or not, but at least they're famous now.
Thanks a lot, Jay.
Thanks.
That was a really abrupt end, but again, thank you, Jay Evenson. So look, next on Inside Sources, ahead of our special Utah Unites town hall that's in just about 15 minutes from now, I do want to talk about ways we can all be patriotic in our own individual ways, and I think that's important. That's coming up after the break.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Omada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Omada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
What if I were to tell you that 4 weeks from now, everything can feel different? Your energy, your weight, the way your clothes fit, that's what Soda's Dynamic Diet does, and that's what it did for me. Listen, right now, our listeners can get 4 weeks of free, speaking of 4 weeks, if they just call 866-800-SODA and mention KSL News Radio. I'll tell you, I lost 18 pounds in 4 weeks, and I lost 30 pounds in 7 weeks, and it was a great program for me because I didn't have to take medication. It was something I just didn't want to do, but I needed to lose the weight because I couldn't get in my pants, and I couldn't get in some of the clothes and some of the suits that I've had for years. I just thought, I got to do something about this. I needed to lose a little bit of weight. For me, it wasn't a lot, but for you, maybe it is. They promised me that I could lose probably 3 to 5 pounds a week. I lost just over 4 pounds a week, and I've kept it off, and it's getting better every week that I've been on Soda. I've continued to lose a little bit of weight. Soda Diet Nutrition, SOTA, say it with me, state of the art.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2026 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Got an expensive AC replacement or repair quote? Get a free second opinion with Vyrock Heating and Cooling. Call or text 801-306-8360 or visit VyrockAir.com. VAIRockair.com.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
I think my biggest challenge was getting through to him to understand that love is real and you have goals in mind, you have things that want to happen, and I want to help you get there.
Sometimes people tend to shy away from wanting to adopt teenagers because they feel like they've lost so much, but there's still so much to gain.
Just knowing that there's just that other person that cares and loves me out there, it feels great. And they've done so much for me, and I can only be appreciative every single day for just having them in my life.
I think it's been the best decision because I gained a son, and he's the best son ever. If I was down and out, he'd be there.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
America 250. We're just a couple of days away from our nation's 250th anniversary. And today we're really honing in on unity as Americans, which I do have to point out does not mean sameness.
Right, good point. Governor Cox made some comments this week during the Western Governors Association saying we can all be more patriotic.
With our own flavor, right? And I think that's important. So before our Utah Unites America 250 Town Hall kicks off in just about 10 minutes at 11 o'clock, I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about patriotism and how it can be different. And this is, you mentioned the governor, this is what happened. So yesterday at his final meeting as the chair of the Western Governors Association, he had a children's ensemble perform the national anthem and America the Beautiful in mariachi style.
Oh, wow.
I think that's super
interesting.
cool,
Yeah,
actually. And he said later, he said that was deliberate. He said you probably haven't heard the national anthem like that before, or America the Beautiful like that before, and it may have broken your brains just a little bit. And then he said, I certainly hope it did in all the right ways, because we are a country that's a pluralistic society with a lot of really different people who come from really different backgrounds, and we can all be patriotic with our own flavor.
You know, a couple things happening right now in our country that I think bring patriotism to the front, and that is, of course, we're, 3 days away from the 4th of July.
Yeah.
And that's the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. But it more importantly for me is the World Cup soccer that's going on right now. We've got 48 nations that are here competing against the world, and they're coming to America and they're wondering what's going on with this country right now. There's a lot. We hear, we read things, we don't know where America is, where they stand. But they're loving the American people, and the American people are loving them. I think that
they love ranch dressing.
Yeah, and probably fry sauce if they try it. But I just think what a great time in our country to be hosting this at a time when people are looking at us real askance and saying, "Whoa, you Americans, you might be a little goofy right now." But it's not like that at all. I see the patriotism here both ways, even for the host for the host country, but also for the visiting countries. Sharing that patriotism right now has been something that's just been very inspiring to me personally.
It is, and you're right. So one of the things that's so interesting to me, I think that maybe we take for granted, and maybe that's coming from a position of privilege, but we have air conditioning, and that's like often the norm in the United States. It is not the norm in Europe. Right.
Yeah.
And so they just went through this massive heat wave. 1,000 people died in France. And we're like, why don't you put air conditioning in your apartments? I mean, come on. Right.
Yeah. And Europe's having massive heat waves.
They are.
Really.
But it's one of the things that they have loved about coming to America. We have air conditioning. We have Costco. We have Buc-ee's, which I don't even know. Right. I'm not a fan of Buc-ee's because I've never even been to Buc-ee's, but it's a thing.
Yeah, and other countries are coming here and say you got to go to Buc-ee's. Hey, so do you think it's patriotic to climb to the top of the Empire State Building and propose? Romantic? Patriotic?
Not for me.
Lunatic?
That'd give me a heart failure,
Yeah.
but and my husband would pass out and fall over. So, but look, I mean, we have been watching this on screens, and Jay Evenson, who was with us earlier, he's like, I can't even look. And he literally would not turn around to look at the screens that we can see, but they're coming down now. I don't know if police are waiting for them.
Waiting arms of the police officers.
I don't know. I mean, that's something you tell your kids about later, I guess. But look, I wanted to talk about America as a salad bowl or as a tossed salad. And sometimes people say, well, we're a melting pot. But I really have liked the analogy of a salad where we all bring our own uniqueness and we can keep that uniqueness. So we just had Mediterranean bowls at our house for dinner. And instead of putting them together and tossing them all myself as one big thing, we served everything individually because my kids have different tastes and like different things, right? And so they can bring, whether it's the Mediterranean flavor with my Saudi Arabian son-in-law who wants to be an American, or it is my other son-in-law who brings Mexican heritage. In fact, we had tacos the other day, and he said, "Oh, white people tacos."
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, that's actually probably true. We even put ketchup on our tacos, right? And he's like, in Mexico, we don't eat tacos like this. I know.
Your house is a salad bowl.
It is.
I mean, you have more cultures and probably languages and foods and ideas and concepts going on in your house on a weekend than some of us do in a month.
And I love it,
I know
right?
you do.
Because we have incorporated food from our kids' heritage and the countries that they come from. So we do. And it's one of the things I think we can be patriotic in a lot of different ways, whether that's a mariachi band or it is, well, Scotland was here. And so anybody with Scottish heritage was really into like the bagpipes and the kilts and I have Scottish heritage, right? I also have Norwegian heritage. And so with the World Cup, right, the Norwegian rowers and who were like, that was just taking over the country by storm. So it is an opportunity, I think, and I really want to applaud the governor for pointing that out yesterday with the National Governors Association, that he even said life is really boring if we're all the same all the time. Right. And I agree with that. Who wants to be the Stepford wives? I mean, I don't want to do that.
No, me neither. It's a time for me to appreciate patriotism too, because my oldest, my son Nick, is in the military. He's in the Air Force, and he's a doctor, and of course he could be making a lot more money doing something else, but he chose to serve his country and has been there for a long time. And I just think, what people do. I think of the government employees that we have and the military people that we have, and the judges and the people that take positions,
and our wildland firefighters right now.
Wildland firefighters who do these things to serve us, and in a way that they love doing it, but you're not going to get rich doing some of that stuff.
So, look, I'm actually looking at an article from Utah News Dispatch that really pulled out this part of the Western Governors Association, and I appreciate them for that. But the governor said yesterday is no matter what the case is, and he was referring to the Supreme Court, he said, we're a nation of immigrants. We have immigrants here today. We have children of immigrants who are here today. And he said, I think as we celebrate America 250, there's an opportunity for us to come together to remember what's so important about this country and what makes this country great. And that's what we'll be celebrating. But then I have to add this. New Mexico Democratic Governor Michelle Grisham responded with a wink to one of the governor's big campaigns as she said, I disagree better, she told the governor.
Good for her. Well, speaking of disagreeing better, I'm looking forward to the next hour on Inside Sources. We have a sort of a blue ribbon panel meeting with Doug Wright just at the top of the hour to talk about differences and how we can have a bridge our conversation on our differences, and I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be interesting to just have Doug Wright back in the studio and talk with the group. As this time of year, this time of history in our country, it couldn't be more important than to talk about patriotism, to talk about crossing the aisle, to talk about what unites us and maybe what divides us, and have conversations about that.
I think it's important always to remember that we have more in common than we have difference. And again, for me, unity doesn't mean sameness. It doesn't mean uniformity. It maybe means that we have the same goals. Like we want a place where our kids can grow and play safely and all of those kinds of things. So like you, I'm looking forward to this conversation as well.
And don't be upset that you can't have your fireworks this year, America.
Right.
Don't be upset that the Supreme Court decided that the 14th Amendment really means what it says, and that whatever we did in our country with great uniformity 150 years ago meant something and should still mean something. And be proud that we have a Supreme Court and that we have a president and we have Congress and that we have three branches of government and we do things the right way, and that in America all people are created equal, and that's self-evident. We hold that to be self-evident. I mean, what a great time to be an American, I think.
The promise of the Declaration.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Utah Unites America 250, our special town hall on finding unity despite our political differences, is coming up next on KSL News Radio. Stay with us for a special hour.